It's hard to find the words to talk about this, but seeing the latest photos of Anna standing outside those prison gates, it just broke me. I know what it's like to feel like the whole world is watching your family's deepest shame. It's 2026, and while some people see this as just another headline about Josh's sentence, I see a woman who is drowning in a sea of loyalty that was forced on her from day one. There are rumors flying about secret prison transfer. People are asking if Anna is finally reaching her breaking point. As someone who had to walk away from the big house just to survive, I look at that letter in her hand and I wonder, is it a message of hope or is it a final goodbye? Today, I'm sharing the truth about what these prison updates really mean for our family, the reality of Josh's new life behind bars, and why I'm praying for Anna to finally find her own voice. This is the update no one wanted to give, but everyone needs to hear. I remember where I was when I first saw that photo of Anna. It was cold out. There she was standing against that chain link fence, seeing the tears on her face. It wasn't just news to me. It felt like a punch to the gut. It's 2026, and for a lot of people, this is just another update on a scandal. But for me, that's my sister-in-law. That's the mother of my nieces and nephews. She looked so small against that massive prison background. And that letter she was holding, you could see how much she was gripping it. It reminded me of all the times I had to hold on to something just to keep from falling apart. People in the comments are always so quick to judge her, asking why she stays or why she's still crying for him. But unless you've been raised in a world where your entire worth is tied to your marriage, you can't understand the grief in those eyes. She isn't just crying for Josh. She's crying for the life she thought she was going to have. And seeing her there so isolated just makes me want to reach through the screen and tell her she doesn't have to carry this alone. Then the news broke about the transfer. They say it was done quietly, almost in secret. Josh being moved from one facility to another. It changes everything for the family. When a prisoner is transferred, especially someone with a high-profile case like his, it's never just a routine move. There are always reasons, safety, behavior, or just the system shifting things around. For Anna, a transfer is a nightmare. It means new rules, a new location, and sometimes a longer drive with 7 children in the car. It resets the clock on any stability she thought she had. In 2026, the logistics of keeping a family together when the father is behind bars is exhausting. Heard whispers that the new facility has even stricter visitation rules. Can you imagine? After all these years, just when you think you've settled into a routine of visiting, the rug gets pulled out from under you. It's a constant reminder that Josh isn't in control anymore, and unfortunately, neither is Anna. They are both at the mercy of a system that doesn't care about Duggar rules or family legacy. In that photo, the most heartbreaking thing wasn't the fence or the tears. It was that crumpled letter in Anna's hand. In prison, letters are everything. They are the only way to feel a physical connection to someone who is locked away. But those letters carry so much weight. I've often wondered what they write to each other in 2026. Is he still maintaining his innocence to her? Is she telling him about the kids' milestones, knowing he's missing every single one? There's a specific kind of pain in reading words on paper from a person you can't touch. Every time Anna gets a letter, she has to decide if she believes the man she married or the reality of the crimes he was convicted of. That letter represents her loyalty, but it also represents her prison. She's tethered to him by those words. To the world, it's just paper. To Anna, it's the only thing keeping her version of family alive, even if that version is breaking her heart more every day. It's a strange and heavy thing to look back at my childhood now. Growing up, Josh was just my big brother. Josh was just my big brother. He was the one we all looked up to, the one who led the way in so many things. But as I've grown older and the truth has come out, that memory has become so fractured. How do you reconcile the brother who played with you in the yard with the man who committed those horrific crimes? In 2026, I've had to accept that both versions existed, and that is a trauma I'm still processing every single day. When I see him in that orange jumpsuit, I don't see the leader my parents tried to build him up to be. I see someone who caused immense pain to the very people he was supposed to protect. It's a grieving process that never really ends, because every time a new prison update comes out, it rips open those old wounds all over again. In our family, silence was always equated with strength. Anna has been praised for years for standing by her man, for not saying a word, and for keeping that smile on her face. But from where I'm standing in 2026, I don't see that as strength anymore. I see it as a cage. The pressure on her to be the perfect, loyal wife is immense. She's been taught that her loyalty is a reflection of her faith, but I believe that true faith requires honesty and standing up for what is right, even when it's painful. Every time she stays silent about the reality of Josh's actions, she's burying a part of herself. I worry so much about what that silence is doing to her heart and her mind. Strength shouldn't mean staying in the dark. It should mean having the courage to walk into the light, no matter who you have to leave behind. People often ask me what Josh's life is actually like in 2026. Prison isn't a TV show. It's a stark, cold reality. Being in a high security facility means every second of your life is controlled by someone else. There is no privacy, no comfort, and very little hope for the future. Josh is living in a world of concrete and iron, a far cry from the life of privilege he once had. I think that the weight of his actions is finally catching up to him in that isolation. For someone who was always so good at manipulating his surroundings, being in a place where he has zero power must be his own personal version of hell. But the reality is that he earned this space. While the family might try to sugarcoat it, the truth is that he is exactly where the justice system decided he needs to be to keep others safe. This is the part that keeps me up at night. The kids. Josh and Anna have 7 beautiful children who are growing up with a father behind bars. In 2026, they are old enough to start asking questions. They see the news. They hear the whispers. They feel the absence of their dad at every birthday, every holiday, and every major milestone. How do you explain to a child that their father is in prison for the things he did? They are carrying a burden that was never meant for them. It breaks my heart because I know that trauma isn't something you just get over. It's something that shapes your entire life. I pray for them constantly that they will find a way to heal and to know that their father's choices are not a reflection of their own worth. They deserve so much more than a life lived in the shadow of a prison wall. A lot of people wonder how Anna is even surviving financially. With 7 kids and no husband to provide, the pressure must be staggering. In 2026, she is largely dependent on the big house and the support systems within the family. But that support comes with a price. It comes with the expectation of continued loyalty and silence. It's a difficult position to be in. You need the help to feed your children, but the help keeps you tied to a system that might be hurting you. I've heard she's doing some small things on the side, trying to find her footing. But the reality of being a single mother of 7 under these circumstances is a financial mountain that seems impossible to climb alone. It's just another layer of the prison that Anna is living in, even though she's on the outside. Hey, have you ever thought about what it's actually like to walk through those prison gates for a visit? It's not just a drive, it's an emotional hangover that lasts for days. In 2026, I can only imagine what Anna goes through every time she has to pack those 7 kids into the car and prepare them for a world of metal detectors and pat downs. You're my story with these records being exposed. You're constantly reminded that you're in a place of punishment. The coldness of the visitation room, the limited time, and the heartbreak of having to say goodbye while your children cry. It's a trauma that leaves a mark on your soul. I've seen the toll it takes on a person's spirit. You leave feeling more exhausted and isolated than when you arrived. And for Anna, this has been her life for years. It's a cycle of hope followed by a crushing reality that the man she loves is a stranger in a cell. It's no secret that my dad, Jim Bob, has a lot of influence over how the family handles these crises. In Anna's case, that support often feels more like control. He's the one providing the roof over her head and the resources for her family, but that comes with an unspoken contract of total loyalty. In 2026, I see how he manages the narrative, making sure Anna stays aligned with the Duggar brand. It's a difficult position to be in when your benefactor is also the person keeping you in the dark. I've had my own struggles with his control, so I know exactly how suffocating it can be. He believes he's doing what's best for the family, but at what cost to Anna's independence and her own truth? Sometimes the help you receive is actually the very thing preventing you from truly being free. As we sit here in February 2026, people are still holding out hope for an appeal or a miracle that will bring Josh home sooner. But the reality of the legal system is much harsher. After years of motions and attempts to overturn the conviction, the road is becoming very narrow. The courts have consistently upheld the original sentence, and there haven't been any major breakthroughs that would change his release date into 2032. It's a long uphill battle that seems to be reaching its end. For Anna, every failed legal attempt is another blow to the future she was promised. It's hard to keep living for a maybe when the law is so clearly saying no. The legal reality is that he is there for a reason, and no amount of family influence can change the facts of the case. I haven't had a chance to speak deeply with Anna in a long time, but the last time our paths crossed, the silence was deafening. There's a barrier there that wasn't there before, a wall built out of secrets and defensive loyalty. I wanted to reach out and just tell her that I'm here, but I could tell she wasn't ready to hear it. In our world, if you aren't 100% on board with the family's narrative, you're seen as the enemy. It breaks my heart because I remember the friendship we used to have. Now we're like strangers living in two different realities. I'm watching from the outside, hoping that one day she'll feel safe enough to lower that wall and just be herself again, away from the expectations of being a Duggar wife. One of the hardest things to unlearn from our upbringing is the idea of a wife's duty. We were taught that no matter what your husband does, you stay, you support him, you pray for him, and you submit to his leadership. This IBLP teaching is exactly what is keeping Anna trapped in 2026. She believes that leaving him would be a sin against God, when in reality, standing up for truth and protecting her children is the most godly thing she could do. This culture of duty ignores the trauma and the betrayal that Anna has faced. It places the entire burden of the marriage on her shoulders while Josh sits in a cell. It's a distorted view of marriage that values contract over the actual human beings involved. And it's something I struggle with every time I see her continue to defend him. I see the comments online, and they are often so incredibly harsh toward Anna. People call her complicit or weak for staying. But until you've been raised in a high control group where your entire social and financial support system depends on your obedience, you can't judge her. In 2026, the internet has become a judge and jury, but they don't see the fear behind her eyes. They don't see the 7 children she's trying to protect. She's in an impossible situation, and the public's judgment only makes her pull closer to the family for protection. Wish people would show more compassion for the victim she is in this situation. She isn't the one who committed the crimes, but she is the one paying the price in the court of public opinion every single day. There are always rumors about how Josh is adjusting to prison life. Some say he's doing well, while others suggest he's having a hard time. In 2026, I think the reality is somewhere in the middle. Prison changes a person, and not always for the better. For someone who was used to being the center of attention and having his way, the anonymity and the discipline of a federal facility must be incredibly difficult. But I also worry about what kind of person he will be when he eventually comes out. Is he truly taking responsibility for what he did, or is he just waiting for the clock to run out? The lack of a public accountability from him is what makes it so hard for the rest of us to find any peace. We're all just waiting, watching, and hoping for a change that might never come. I know exactly how terrifying it is to even think about walking away. For Anna, it's not just about leaving a marriage, it's about leaving her entire world. In our family, if you step out of line, you don't just lose your husband, you risk losing your parents, your siblings, and the only community you've ever known. In 2026, I see that same fear in Anna that I once felt. You wonder, who will I be without them? How will I survive? It's a paralyzing feeling. For someone like Anna, who has 7 children depending on her, that fear is magnified 1,000 times. She's been told her whole life that the outside world is a dangerous place. But I want her to know that the real danger is staying in a place where your voice is silenced and your pain is ignored. Leaving was the hardest thing I ever did, but it was also the first time I finally felt like I could breathe. People often ask me why I chose to write my book, Counting the Cost, and why I continue to speak out. It's because for so many years, our lives were a script written by someone else. We were told what to say, how to look, and what to believe. In 2026, I am finally the author of my own story. I chose to speak out, not to hurt my family, but to honor the truth. I see others in the family still living that scripted life, and it breaks my heart. Reclaiming your narrative is an act of courage. It's about saying that my experience matters and that the truth is more important than a polished public image. I want Anna to know that she has a story too. And she doesn't have to let the Duggar brand tell it for her. As we look ahead, 2032 seems like a lifetime away. That is the year Josh is scheduled to be released, and the thought of what the family will look like then is overwhelming. The kids will be grown, the world will have changed, and so much time will have been lost. Is Anna waiting for that day to finally start her life? It's a long road to walk in a state of waiting. In 2026, I hope she realizes that she doesn't have to put her life on hold for another 6 years. Time is the one thing we can never get back. I pray that she finds a way to build a life for herself and her children now, rather than living in the shadow of a release date that feels like an eternity away. The road is long. She doesn't have to walk it in the dark. If I could sit across from Anna right now, I'd just take her hands and say, I see you. I see your pain, and I know you're tired. I would tell her that she is stronger than she thinks she is, and that she doesn't owe her silence to anyone. Anna, you have survived so much. You have carried a burden that was never meant for you. Please know that there is a life outside of that prison fence where you are allowed to be happy, to be angry, and to be free. You aren't betraying anyone by choosing the truth. You are honoring the life God gave you. I am here, and others are here waiting to walk with you whenever you're ready. You don't have to be the strong, silent wife anymore. You just have to be Anna. In the end, what I want for our family is a legacy of truth. The secrets and the control have caused so much damage over the years. But in 2026, the walls are finally coming down. Every time one of us speaks up, every time a secret is exposed, it's a step toward healing. It's painful, but it's necessary. I want my children and Anna's children to grow up in a world where they don't have to hide who they are. The truth is what sets us free. And even though it costs us a lot, sometimes everything, it's always worth it. Thank you for listening to my heart today. I hope that by sharing this story, we can all move a little closer to a place of peace and honesty. This is the legacy I want to leave